Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third session of the Euro-Lebanese Medical Society webinar series about medical training in Europe. The moderators of this session are myself and Dr. Reem Tanous. My name is Ali Najm, and I am a diagnostic and interventional radiology resident at the American University of Beirut. Dr. Reem Tanous is a dermatology resident at the Lebanese University. Before we start, we would like to remind you that if you missed the previous sessions about France and Belgium, you can still catch them on ELMS website, eurolebanese.org, and on the YouTube channel. Since June 2020, having a healthier Lebanon is the main goal of the Euro-Lebanese Medical Society. The ELMS family aims to connect Lebanese healthcare professionals in Europe and in Lebanon, and to try as much as possible to meet their needs.
Good evening. Thank you, Eli. So as you said, tonight actually it's Dr. Lara Mahfouz that will be joining us from Bucharest, and Dr. Marwan Julien Sleiman from Genève to discuss opportunities for medical training in country of Count Dracula, Romania. Dr. Mahfouz is a Université Saint-Esprit Catholic graduate. She acquired a specialty degree in dermatology and venereology from the University of Medicine and Pharmacy, Carol Davaila, in Bucharest, Romania, where she trained in the clinical hospital of Colantina. Dr. Sleiman got his medical diploma at the Faculty of Medicine and Pharmacy of Târgu Mureș in Romania. He then trained in Ambroise Paré et Clinique Bizet in Paris and the Hôpital du Chablais et Hôpital du Valais in Switzerland. He is currently practicing at the Hôpital Universitaire de Genève at the Department of General Surgery. Dr. Mahfouz and Dr. Sleiman will present the conditions for studying medicine in Romania, how to apply for specialty training, and advantages as well as disadvantages of the Romanian system. Dr. Mahfouz, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, dear colleagues. So tonight the subject of discussion will be Romania, studying in Romania. So Romania is a Southeastern European country, part of the European Union since 2007, but not yet part of the Schengen area. This is important because students who would come here having a student visa are not able only through that visa to get out and go to any other European country. Medicine for non-EU citizens in Romania. The first to do is to choose a university that has the option of the language that you want to study in, whether it's English or French or even Romanian. The candidate shall access the university platform and upload all the documents required. Then the candidate's files are submitted online and they are subject to a verification by the Office of Foreign Students. If the file is complete, you shall receive an electronic message requesting the hard copy file, which means the original documents have to be sent then to the university. If the file is incomplete, you shall receive a message for correction to add the missing documents. Online registration. Now, for this year, the duration was between the 2nd of June and the 27th of July. And the submission of files was supposed to be between the 15th of June and the 31st of July. When I say submission of files, this means the submission of the hard copy of the files. Now, those dates are subject to modification. That's why the interested person should check the university site or platform, generally in the beginning of June. The necessary documents are, and this is all cited in the university platform. It's to mention them. It's an electronic form to be filled online, to be dated and signed, an internationally recognized language competency certificate, minimum B2 level, the application form for requesting the letter of acceptance, the high school diploma that should be valid in Romania. In the case of the Lebanese baccalaureate, it is valid in Romania. The grade record. Now, this means the school transcript with grades starting from the second, the 10th grade, until the last year of school. The candidate whose official baccalaureate diploma isn't ready yet, which means that they have succeeded in the baccalaureate exam, but the hard copy of the baccalaureate diploma is not ready yet, may submit instead a certificate issued by the high school specifying the grade point average in the baccalaureate examination, the grade point averages obtained during the years of study, and the validity term of the certificate. Valid passport plus ID هوية, the birth certificate, a health certificate that the person involved doesn't have contagious disease. 4 photos and the receipt for the non-refundable file processing fee of 1,000 RON, around to 200 euros. Then once the student or the person interested he has filed all these documents and everything is okay, he then should submit in original the high school diploma and the certificate of linguistic competency. He has to fulfill the legal conditions for enrollment, including the recognition and equivalence of the high school studies by the ministry in charge, which is the Ministry of Education and Research. And he has to sign the study contract that would be at the university and paying at the rectorate of the university and paying the financial obligations. Now, concerning residence in Romania, so that would be through a student visa that would be issued by the Romanian embassy from Lebanon, issued based on the letter of acceptance of studies and on the payment in full of the tuition fee. Now, specialty in Romania. Residency in Romania, it's exclusively in Romanian language. Non-EU citizens can do their specialty once granted the letter of acceptance normally. However, foreign residents do not receive any salary from the hospital. This should be known for those who are interested. The application files are then submitted personally after completion of the preparatory year of the Romanian language. The person interested would already be in Romania and he has to submit the files in person to the International Students Department between October 2020 and I think November. The acceptance letter should be issued by the Ministry of Education by the end of January. To the documents mentioned above, for the specialty, to the documents that are needed for the general medicine, for the specialty must be added a copy and legalized translation into Romanian of the general medicine's degree or equivalent, authenticated by the competent authorities of the issuing country, the transcripts of the years of general medicine, the certificate of graduation of the Romanian language year since it's required for specialty, 2 photos, letter from the residency coordinator that should be obtained by the interested student or person himself since he would already be here. Tuition fees are generally 1,000 lei for processing the file, 400 euros for the Romanian language test, and 7,000 euros per year. Now, regarding the scholarships, there are 2 pathways to obtain them, but it should be known that they are only granted from the Romanian Ministry of Education and that of Foreign Affairs for students who will pursue their studies in Romanian only, whether it's general medicine studies have to be in Romanian or specialty, which is automatically in Romanian. Scholarships could be obtained through the Romanian embassy in Lebanon So interested people should contact the Romanian embassy in Lebanon for further details. This scholarship actually, it covers all the expenses, whether it's the tuition fees of the preparatory year and the residence years, the accommodation and the monthly allowance of around 85 euros. Now, 85 euros in Romania, since life is relatively cheaper than other European countries, can be somewhat helpful. Lebanese embassy in Romania. So another pathway to obtain, to the possibility of obtaining scholarship is through the Lebanese embassy in Romania for students who are already in Romania coming to study at their own expense. So then once they are here, they can apply for a scholarship through the Lebanese embassy in Romania, from the Ministry of Education, through, as we said, the Lebanese embassy. And that would be after they arrive and they start their studies, and it would be based on their records. The equivalence of the diploma and right to practice. So the Romanian diplomas are recognized in all Europe. However, the right to practice medicine in Romania is not given to foreign citizens, only to those who are married, for example, to a European citizen. The doctor then can be registered in the medical college in Romania, but by the law, he is required to work minimum of 3 years in Romania before he is granted the right to work in Europe. The equivalence of the diploma is only possible when the doctor becomes a European citizen. The files for this matter are then studied case by case. And there's the link here for more information. You can just visit it and there's everything. You'll find it in detail. I will leave it for my colleague, Dr. Marwan Julian.
Thank you, Lara. Hello, everybody, and dear colleague, I will present you the part with the double nationalities, the European citizenship with the Lebanese citizenship. So for those who would like to come to do the medicine university in Romania with the European citizenship, the pathway is pretty simple. You have to recognize, to make legalized an official translation of your baccalaureate diploma into Romanian, which is certified by a notary bureau and by the competent authority of the issuing country. Then you will have to subscribe to the faculty of your choice following their own rules. Your student visa will be delivered through the university at the immigration office. For those who studied in Lebanon the medicine and would like to come do a specialty inside Romania with a double citizenship, European and Lebanese, the nationality here doesn't really count. The most important and the references state the diploma that is from Lebanon. So you will have to follow the pathway that just presented Lara through, and it will be the same than the Lebanese citizenship with the Lebanese diploma. You will have to follow the subscription for the residency and do your work visa at the immigration center. Thank you very much.
So, room for questions now. Lara, I'd like to ask you, why would someone pick studying in Romania and training medicine in Romania over some other European countries?
No, it's a great question, actually, because Romania has only recently become part of the European Union, so practically since 2007. Ever since, many students have been coming also from all over Europe to Romania to do their studies. Well, the advantages is that the level of education here is more and more, is becoming more and more advanced recently. And it's a really nice country. And then for some people, they would choose to come here because living in Romania basically costs less. But I would like to point also some inconvenience for some people, especially for non-EU citizens, as I've mentioned before. Now, for those who would come for residency, I said that they won't receive a salary. This is an inconvenience for many people. And well, on the other hand, also the tuition fees for non-EU citizens, they can also be quite high for some people. Well, in general, that would be it, actually. Then case by case, everyone would see things if they are okay for him or not. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Lara. I'd like to ask one more question. If someone graduated from Romania and decided to practice for a couple of years in Romania and gaining some experience before coming back to Lebanon, is there any specific range for the salaries that doctors, nurses, or dentists may benefit from?
As I mentioned before, so for non-EU citizens, it still applies even for those who would like to come for 1 or 2 years to gain more experience. They won't be paid actually here in Romania. So this differs from someone who is an EU citizen or is already integrated in the Romanian society. Things differ, but for those who would like to come just to gain more experience, the same rule applies as for those who would like to come for residence.
Thank you. One last question from my part. Is there any restriction for the medical specialties that medical graduates have access to? So we know that in some countries, competitive specialties are restricted for nationals. However, does this apply as well in Romania?
Actually, thank you for pointing this question, because I have forgotten to mention this, that a foreign, when I say foreign, I mean non-EU citizen, is coming to Romania for residency for his specialty. Actually, although he is not paid, but he has the right to choose his specialty without any restrictions. So whatever he would like to specialize in, he can choose it once he has filed all the documents required, and there will be no restriction whatsoever regarding this matter.
Thank you, Lara.
Thank you, Lara. Actually, one last question. Is there a possibility for a fellowship program like a subspecialty and not only residency like Eli asked you?
Actually, there are subspecialty. There is a possibility to come for let's say 1 or 2 years, you know, after you have finished maybe your specialty or meanwhile, but it follows the same path. Now, I don't have really much more information or details regarding this matter, but I know that there is a possibility to come. But as for the way and the procedure, it is like almost the same as for those who would like to come for specialty or for medicine, general medicine.
Okay, thank you. So it depends on opportunities, like in other the other
Exactly,
program.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Also, I would like to ask, is the Romanian specialty diploma acknowledged in other European countries?
Yes, absolutely. It is just like any other European diploma. It is recognized in all European countries, like wherever you might go.
Okay, so this is practical.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we do not have further questions. Okay, one last question actually. Is there a way for an internal medicine specialist, for example, who has done 3 years in Lebanon, to continue with another specialty
In Romania?
in Romania?
If I understood well, if it is about continuing with another specialty, it means practically starting another specialty. Now, if you mean by the question, if some of his specialty would be recognized, you know, this really, it should be like studied case by case at the Ministry of Education in Romania. I cannot give really more details, I don't know, but this should be asked case by case.
I can add a bit of information.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
For this case, you can send your file where you did your 3 years of residency, if it's a university hospital or no. And as said Lara, the Ministry of Health will study these 3 years and can recognize a part of them. Maybe not totally, but he can recognize maybe half or 1 year on the 3 and be counted as done in the Romanian residency.
Okay, so maybe they will equalize 1 or 2 years, and then they will continue with the medical specialty. Actually, I have a question for you, Dr. Sulaiman. Since you studied in Romania and you worked in France and in Switzerland, in your opinion, what system worked better for you already? What system worked better, and in which one it was easier for you to integrate?
Thank you very much. I wouldn't think there is a system which is higher to the other, but every system has his advantage and his disadvantage. The advantage of the Romanian system is a bit the same way than the French system. When you start a residency, you're following a formation and you will finish it in the expected years. 5 years for surgery, 3 to 4 years for medicine. To compare to the Swiss system, where you don't enter in a university formation from the beginning. You have, especially as a foreigner, you have to create your own residency and you have to do postulation in every hospital in order to do yourself your formation. So the advantage of Romania is when you enter in it, you will have the 5 years done or necessary.
Okay. And another question for the residents that are going to go to Romania and they need to integrate in the society. It's not always easy. So what about the Lebanese community in Romania? Can you tell us a little bit about it? And would a new resident feel surrounded by Lebanese people there?
When I was studying in Romania, we had other Lebanese in our promotion, and we created a group of Lebanese, and we helped each other. And these Lebanese knew members of their families, which knew other Lebanese, and we were surrounded by them. Some even had a restaurant where we could go eat, so it was pretty nice. So I think you can always find from contact to contact and try to create your community. And there is some Lebanese community in the different cities of Romania, which will make you feel home.
Okay, this is comforting, I think. And hopefully always the Lebanese community will really always surround each other, because it's important, I think, also.
Reem, I'd like best to ask one more question. I would like to ask about Lara's experience. Did she feel herself that she was welcomed once she got to Romania? About her experience coming from Lebanon?
Well, thank you for this question. Actually, my experience is kind of a little bit unique, because since I have finished general medicine in Lebanon. So I practically had only a few months to learn Romanian language, and then immediately to be integrated in the hospital environment for the specialty. But I would like to point that really learning the Romanian language and giving it enough time to achieve this goal helps a lot to be able to communicate with other people. People here are very receptive, just like everywhere, and they are really helpful, you know, when you need anything. So overall, it was a positive experience. And just like my colleague Marwan already mentioned, that the Lebanese community is present everywhere, and the Lebanese traits, they do not change anywhere you are in the world. And you really feel like home and that you have another family.
Thank you for your answer, Lara.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think there are no further questions. I'm not mistaken. Our trip to Romania comes to an end. Thank you, Dr. Mahfoud and Dr. Sulaiman, for the remarkable presentation and interesting conversation, really. This was a great information and advice you provided. I would also like to thank all of you who attended this webinar for the participation and the questions. I would like to remind you that you can always watch the rerun on YouTube along with our previous webinars. Now that you have registered to this webinar, you will be automatically registered to the next ones in this series. And I think we have a lot more countries to visit. Our next webinar will be on the 28th of October 2020. If you have not registered yet, please go to eurolebanese.org and do it now to receive all the news. And in case you have any questions, you can always leave them on the Q&A section of the website. I wish everyone a great evening, and I leave the closure to you, Eli.
Thank you, Reem. And before we end this session, I would like to announce that the Euro-Lebanese Medical Society is launching a Christmas campaign to face the lack of education in the Lebanese territory nowadays. We invite you to follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Euro-Lebanese_medical_society, and on Facebook, Euro-Lebanese Medical Society, and on Twitter @Euro-Lebanese to receive all the news and to be able to take part of this Future Lebanese initiative. We wish you a good end of the day, everyone, and see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you.